Hello, this is John with Theology Ed. I hope you're all doing really well today. So let's look at iPet Goat 2 again. We are going to be looking at the February 17th, 2026 eclipse, which is coming up in 2 days. That is an annular eclipse. Here it is. That's what it looks like. So it's going to go around here down Antarctica. Has this sort of C shape, you see. And this eclipse is coming up on the 17th. It is an annular eclipse, which means you get this idea of a ring of fire, where the moon's coverage is not entirely. Do you have a picture of an annular eclipse here? No. Where the moon does not perfectly cover like this. See, here's an annular solar eclipse. The moon is inside the sun, and there's a little bit of sun around it. You can see, so ring of fire. You get that idea. You don't get the diamond ring effect as much as you do with a total solar eclipse, only as it's passing, I believe. But these ring of fire eclipses are interesting. They come up in predictive programming sometimes. In iPet Goat 2, of course, in the classroom, we see this in the 2020 calendar representing an annular eclipse in June of 2020, where we went January, February, March, April, May, June, and then between June and July, in June, we had the June 21st solstice annular eclipse, which I think was associated with the move from Pisces, which is the fish, to a symbol over here of Aquarius, perhaps, another just a way for them to gesture transition of ages or whatever. And so you had that in there. Now, you also then had the buck moon afterwards that year on July 5th, 4th, 5th. And then that symbol pointed to Trump long term. Now, I'll maybe get into that a little later. But we do know this calendar also, incidentally, is, I say we know, I've put up recently, so I've proposed it. I think it's defended well enough to go with it now, that I think this is 2017 through 2030. On this calendar, including these two symbols of the moon counting, which makes the rabbit 2024 shot at its ear missing. That would be the year Trump was shot at. And I think the rabbit points to Trump. If you go back here, you'll see, I may want to go back in a few seconds. Okay. When we watch this, so we have Obama wink at us, and now we're going to get the laughing. He's okay. The teleprompter. The O was over the O. We're going to get a separation like an eclipse separating. Let me just go back to 1 second. Okay, I'm going to slow it down because this is going to be hard to show. Okay, let's see. So we start here. There it is. See, it's over. It was over. Now it's parting. Notice the pace at which it is rising. We're seeing the rising sun. From the moon, symbol, and then her head's going to go the same direction at the same pace. Also, notice the hands of Trump here. This is the Trump figure. We're going to see his hands in the same position as we transition. Yep, look, he's doing it. Now watch. Almost. Okay, his hands are in the same place as the Trump hands. This is giving us the continuity between Bush, who transitions into Obama, who then, even though it's a 2012 video, transitions into Trump, okay, who is the president that comes after Obama. And that's why you have Trump sitting in the typical Trump fashion with the hair combed over like Trump does, in the rising sun. But notice the Trump character has antlers representing a buck. He's representing a buck here because the deer on the wall behind him is positioned to show him with antlers. And so then we can go and see the rabbit, because this is a buck. The male rabbit is also a buck. And so we get the buck here as well. So we're getting another look at the buck. So from 2017, 18, 19, 20, Trump sits over those years. That's his first term. He is not sitting over the next 4 years. And then he looks over 2025, 6, 7. 25. 26, 27, 28, excuse me. Okay, so he overlooks his second term. And so this is the rabbit years, the years where Trump, the angry buck, is overlooking the years. That's also why I wonder if 2026, with the ears here has another reference, perhaps to Trump trying to communicate something about him this year. I can't tell why it has this little thing for people who are interested in 2026. Why? I'm not sure if that's a shoulder and the arm is going to the front in this direction, almost like he's looking backwards. In that case, this would be his left leg going that way. I don't know. Or if we can't see his right leg here and this is something at his neck or chin. I don't know. But take a look. Possible reference to Trump communicating something about his presidency in that year. I'm not positive yet. It's a mystery. 2026 just sitting back there. But we have this annular eclipse coming up, which is going to be, I think, under the divided U.S. during the Trump second term. Okay, so if you go outside, we leave the classroom, and we're going to get, now it's going slow because that we get Donald over here, D-O-N-A-L-D. Of course, it's Psalm 23, but Psalm 23 is about the troubled waters. And if we look, this is very troubled. This is not giving the sensation of the waters being calmed and tranquil. This is the troubled waters are being stirred up. I think that's why they chose Psalm 23 here. And we have Donald doing it. And we get Doomsday, division of the United States, a state resisting unification of the federal government or something, perhaps one star flying away. And as we back up, we're going to get indication of the division of the U.S., like waters where it wasn't before. And then we have the demonic rabbit up in the upper corner here, or in the sky, overseeing all of this. Okay, and before, if you go back, well, you still have sun, not the night. We have the Trump profile and a shot being taken, and that's what missed. So just like in the classroom, we have the rabbit getting a shot at its ear that misses. Here we have a shot in the direction of Trump. We pointed this out all the way back in 2020. But now we're going to see him commit suicide, jumping into the water, and we're going to see hit over. The rabbit doesn't leave. He's overseeing this division, which is leading to the suicide, which takes us into, at his death, we're going to go into this fog and the realm of the dead and the boat of Anubis taking a trip through the realm of the dead on the way to a destination. Okay, and that's where we see the Rahor Kuat character appear for the first time. And right here, already, when we enter into this, under the rabbit years, second term of Trump, we get the Osama bin Laden character showing up on some ice that is actually looking very similar to what you see over by the Strait of Hormuz with a swan, which I think represents a swan song. That comes up in Donnie Darko, the swan song idea. It comes up in, what was the other movie? I had slipped my mind, but it's another Blumhouse movie, and it comes up here, and I think it's pointing to the end, probably the U.S. So we get the swan song coming, we get pre-war preparation and an invocation. Now look, this again. Let me see. I opened up. So here's Strait of Hormuz, and you see how the land here does look similar. I'm not saying it's a sure thing; it's the exact same to the shape here, and we're seeing the little flying fish island ice piece, ice chunk turning, being rotated through this invocation as if we're redirecting targets. Okay, it's going now. Even this is less than a 90-degree angle. Okay, I think is how I would see that, right? And so if that is the case, then the redirection here is like this. And if you go do that from here, you can see something right around there, something like that goes into the center of the Middle East, almost as if redirecting weapons in the direction of Israel or other targets in the Middle East, perhaps pointing to a regional war there or something. And so there's this invocation happening because he's going to do this where? 2/17 is when we entered that. That's the date of this eclipse. February 17th, 2026, annular eclipse date, looking like a C. Here we get as we're seeing the eclipse starting, as the moon is moving in front, this is not going to cover the whole thing. That is going to be an annular eclipse if it completes, or it's representing a partial, I suppose. But if it goes into this, we would get a annular eclipse. And he is doing an invocation, wanting the war to happen, or wanting this to take place. And we have February 17th. Of course, he has a CIA, I say February 17th, 2 minutes, 17 seconds. Okay, and so we have the invocation happening, demonic wings, CIA badge. We have weapons behind missiles getting ready, as it were. We're preparing for war. It does not mean war starts on February 17th, if that's what this is referring to. However, and then that's because the eclipses for them often reference or refer to periods of time covered by the eclipse, because it's like a period when you can do these invocations, rituals, or whatnot, which will have greater impact afterwards. But if the magician's work, I should probably make a video at some point looking into exactly what their ideas are there to do the best I can. But the idea with this would be the rituals happening around this time, and perhaps the events happen in a period covered by that, or the transition to it. So we go from there, and then we start to get the whatever else happens afterwards. I mean, even here it's interesting. You get rain written in the lightning behind the oil, and you do have a 3, 2, 3 potentially up there. I don't know. You see it? Turn it sideways. That's a 3 laying outside, a 2 laying outside, 3 laying outside. Not sure. Here's a rabbit still overseeing, so we're still in Trump's second term. May also have a 7-5. And then we go into the destruction of liberty. Statue of Liberty is going to be destroyed here, but you also have a gun pointing at the rabbit again. The shot goes to the ear, and here you also have a 3, perhaps a 2, and perhaps a 3 in front of it. So you may get a 3, 23 again. I mean, I'm not going to read into that too much. Sometimes you can see things and you create something that's there to be there that's not. But if that's the case, we could have this eclipse being the 2/27 or 2/17 eclipse, February 17th eclipse that's coming up in a couple days. The invocation suggesting that something happens under that eclipse, and if that gives us a year to start, then we get 2 consecutive points, things pointing to potentially the 3/23 date afterwards. Right, I missed the lightning again that time. It's hard to pause on that. Anyways, I got lucky the first time. And, you get the 3/20. So it'd be 3/23, potentially. Okay, if that's there. But you could see it twice in a row, 2 times in a row, which would suggest maybe that something takes off later in March. I'm not going to predict dates on that type of thing. Just throwing it out there that after the 2/17, we do get things pointing to something, potentially 2 consecutive scenes with the same numbers in them. All right, so what's the point of all this? Just to point out that this 2/17 eclipse could be significant, could be the one being pointed to here as a sign or a suggestion that what comes after it is an escalation of war conflict. Not necessarily immediately after it. So if you're looking for a date when things will happen, probably not that exact day. I mean, could be afterwards, shortly afterwards, could be a while afterwards, not sure. In other things I've seen, it could be up to 6 months after the eclipses, I'm not sure. But these timestamps are important. I mean, if we go back, back in 2021, May 26th was a date of a total lunar eclipse, and we see that in IPEC GOAT 2 as well, and we talked about that all the way back in 2020, looking ahead to that, and it was correct. When we come up here, this was a November eclipse 2020, a lunar eclipse. So we're in the position of the sun here. He's the Earth. He's going to do rotations. And we go right over here, and from our perspective, the Earth is eclipsing the moon, which would be a lunar eclipse, timestamp 526. Okay? And that goes to the end of the year, where we get a solar eclipse right here. Okay? That was the December 4th. I think it was December 4th, 2021 eclipse. And then we said, okay, so it looks like in the following scene, we would get a 4-month period because the rotations were 4 months. And that was here. And we get a NATO symbol. on him, and we're going to get the green light go right there. There's your aircraft carrier go symbol. NATO goes starting in the first quarter of 2022, and that was interestingly when the conflict, the war in Ukraine began in February of 2022, and NATO actively provoking conflict with Russia took off. Okay, now that was all the way, and there was identifiable because we had in part this right here, boom, 526 total lunar eclipse in that year. And so we could take that take the city calendar and gain information from it. Now, I think this scene may have more than just 2021 in it, just like the classroom calendar has more than just 2017 and 2020. It has 2017 all the way to the end in it. Similarly, I think this calendar here almost certainly has more in it than just 2021 leading up to the NATO climax where we enter into that final phase. We just saw IPEC02, the Heliofont channel, put up some videos that were taken in January, I guess January 2026. They posted them, and one of them has this bridge that, in Montreal there's a bridge very similar to this, and I was wondering, maybe that's pointing to or suggesting that we're supposed to find somehow 2026 in the scene and understand it, because there's a lot of information in the scene, and there's a lot missing. I think this was a mark of the beast symbol. I think I'm confident we have the 2021 lunar eclipse here. We had an 8 over here. It passed over August at that point. I think we get the December 4th, 2000. It's very difficult to pause there, but doesn't matter. I won't do it perfectly. December 4th, 2021 eclipse right here. You do have an island sliding down. Okay, so it does look like some sort of a landslide back there. You have a bow and arrow shooting at it. Could be Sagittarius symbol in relation to whatever happens back here. And I think this is significant, all these points, there's a volcano, a lot of stuff in here. Maybe we're looking at something about La Palma at some point. Here you also have this triangle of lights. Could be related to the recent news that's coming out that we're not alone, there's aliens, and they showed some light triangle in the news the other day about as possible UFO, all sorts of weird things they do. So this scene definitely deserves more attention, I think, and it may be timely at this point that we should be looking into it. However, I'm not going to dig in too much in this one right now, but we do have the 526 eclipse there, which shows that the fact that the timestamp aligns with the appearance of an annular eclipse right here, and right at 217, boom, 217. It shows up. A commenter pointed this out to me, by the way. I did not figure that out. Initially, somebody said, hey, that's 2017, shows up. So thanks for that. But this is not probably a coincidence, which would mean that this eclipse in the scene would point us to 2026 under the rabbit still, which would be under Trump. And so going straight into the rain 323 under the rabbit could be important. Which then takes us to the loss of liberty here under the 323 period with the, related to the Trump years again, possibly the rabbit and all that. All right, just some ideas, brainstorming here, because, I've gone through this scene way back, I think maybe like part 8 or 9 or 7 of my IPEC Go to Explain series. And I think there's a lot of repetition in this film, in the sense of they use similar symbolism to show different things, but they'll cover the same time period more than once. So it's possible we're seeing some repetition, not always chronological and sequential. We could be seeing things sort of reiterated in different ways. But And we also will see layered meanings. So I think we may be seeing a 2026 layer here, and we're going to watch and see. All right. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share. Take care. Blessings.